Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Matchbox Talks. I'm here today with Dr. Bano Murtuja, the founder and chief matchmaker at Matchbox, and her husband, Sidi Nader Khan, on the subject of staying married isn't my spouse, my BFF. Should we be making time for our friends?
I didn't
After
know
marriage?
until a few years ago what the term BFF meant. I thought it was BF, and I couldn't figure out why somebody would be somebody else's BF.
You do know that it's the heart with the two names and best friends forever.
No, I just look, on social media, you just say BFF.
He's too old.
I'm an
I
old
think
guy.
so.
I have
think
gray
he's
pouring
aging.
out of my
I
face.
think he's aged himself
Yes.
very badly. But on that topic though, I mean, should you expect your spouse to be your
it's
best
great.
friend?
I think it's important for you to be, very, very close and friendly with your spouse. But your spouse is your spouse and your friend is your friend. And that relationship is different in many ways. And there's no point in recreating one relationship in the other. And I think they should never be confused for each other. And they're distinct and they're special in their own way. And they should be treated as such. What?
Dr. Banu.
So, when we were talking, like that 5 conversations that we had before we decided to get married. So one of the things that you'd said to me in this conversation, or one of these conversations, I don't know which one it was, but you'd said, if you need help with something, I'll be there and I'll help you. But if you need a shoulder to cry on, go and speak to somebody else. Go and find a friend, right? And I remember thinking,
Wow.
man, you mean, horrible person. And then we got married, and I was like, please go to your friends. Please stop talking to me.
So the tables were flipped.
It was so funny. Like, and I still do. I will be like, have you spoken to such and such a friend recently? Or have you texted such and such a friend recently? And I'm thinking, no, you should go out for your boys' night out. No, really, please go.
Give me my space.
Give me my space. Let me breathe a little bit, And there's a lot to be said about the fact that the more you're together and the more you're sort of in each other's space all the time, you almost lose sight of what you appreciate. You kind of lose sight of that kind of. And there are things that my friends could say to me that if he said to me would not be pleasant.
Yeah. And there's things that
would not be pleasant.
Absolutely the same here, because the relationship is very different. Right, there's things that your friend may say or do that is never acceptable from your spouse, because it's just that's not the kind of relationship you have.
Well, there are sensitivities between
That you have to be
spouses,
mindful.
right? You have to be mindful of those sensitivities. You have to be mindful. Like, if he ever said, you look really bad in that dress, I'd go ballistic. But if my friend said, you look really bad in that dress, I'd never wear the dress again. Like, it would be like, okay, that's
really bad.
That's really bad. Like, that's never going to happen,
Does this dress look good on me? Never answer that question.
But and that's just being, facetious about it, because obviously you've got more important things. But I think, and I also actually think, I think those people that become all about their relationship, like, this is all there is to my life now.
It's very unhealthy.
It's really unhealthy. It takes a great deal away from your relationship with one another as well, because it kind of expects this relationship to fulfill everything. And, there's a reason your companion, like, for me, my friends are my companions to Allah. They're and he's my companion to Allah, but in a different way. And it's, my friends are the people who I will go to, and they will give me, they're my spiritual compass, but they will give me a beating when I need it. Like, honestly, my genuine friends.
I won't. Literally, figuratively, no.
But my genuine friends are that like, I can count them on my hand, and they are the people who, when they see me doing something I should not be doing, or having a perspective that actually needs a check. It needs a boundary. They are the ones that will sit me down and go, what are you playing at?
Right. So what I'm hearing is that there's nothing wrong with having a friendship with your spouse, but make sure that you're maintaining all of the other healthy relationships that have made you who you are and
it's
contributed.
breathing, right? I mean, you have to inhale and you have to exhale. If all you're doing is inhaling or all you're doing is exhaling, you will kill yourself, right? And so both of them are necessary, and they both have to be there. That you must necessarily develop a friendly relationship with your spouse, but your other relationships can't be dropped off, on the side. You have to maintain those as well, because every relationship has a right and responsibility that needs to be looked after and nurtured.
And on that note, and I think, for many people, particularly those people that are marrying across a border or in my instance, across an ocean, I know for me, one of the things that I was bereft when I came here, because I had no friends.
You had no community.
My friendships, the people who I had relied on, the people who I had spoken to once a day.
Your safety net.
Yeah, and they'd gone, but then not only that, you drift as well, right?
Yeah.
So not only do you no longer speak every day, but now when you do touch base, 8-10 months of their lives have passed, or even a day has passed, but that day was so significant and you don't know anything about it, you've not shared it. And so now you kind of feel alone a lot, and rebuilding and finding friends as an adult
It's very difficult.
is also very, very hard, right? I think we have
a question from the audience.
I wanted to just throw in that, yes, I absolutely do agree that your spouse can be your friend. He can be your go-to person. I mean, I don't have family that lives here, so he's my go-to person to go complain about anything, if I have a rant, if I have to vent. But other than that, I also come from a family of just women. So I've had no brothers, I've had no older cousins that were men. So I also had to really reach out to my sisters or reach out to my friends and be like, is this normal? Like, I've never lived with a guy like this. So, for example, when I lived at my parents' house, my older sisters were married, and I used to, if I ever cooked a meal, I would be cooking for 4 people. But after I got married, I was cooking the same amount of food for just my husband and I would have to call up my sister. I'm like, is this normal? Like, he eats a lot. So I absolutely
You need friends to tell you that that's normal.
I absolutely agree with maintaining your friends outside of your spouse relationship.
Like a sounding board, like you bounce things off of.
Exactly.
Gives you a reality check.
Exactly. So I believe that's absolutely important. I agree with that. And I keep telling him that as well. I'm like, you need to go talk to your friends, go complain about your wife. If there's anything you need to get off of your chest, that's important. You can't always go to your spouse to be complaining about that person. Yeah. So that's absolutely important.
Complaining about your wife is great, but as a friend's wife once commented, marry somebody that you can boast about.
Absolutely.
So I did that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So thanks for the thoughts around maintaining your relationships with the people that you loved and cherished before you got married. Developing a relationship with your spouse includes an element of friendship, but it shouldn't be this all-encompassing situation where you're kind of enmeshed with that one person and you don't retain your individuality, which made you unique and attractive to them to begin with. Right? Is that fair? Thank you so much for your time. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the subject. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us some comments below. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.